After a mysterious plane crash, a powerful tycoon names his daughter, once a quiet nun, as heir to his empire. Thrust into a world of secrets and betrayal, she must navigate deadly conspiracies and rival forces. With her eccentric tutor at her side, she takes a final stand, not to protect the legacy, but to rewrite it. Once upon a time, there was a rich man named Jazakorda. He had everything money could buy, power, influence, and enough enemies to fill a graveyard. But he had a problem. He couldn't find anyone he trusted to take over his empire when he kicked the bucket. Enter Liesel, his long-lost daughter, a woman of God living a simple life as a nun. When her father died in a suspicious plane crash, she was summoned to his sprawling estate to take over the family business. Now you might be thinking, why would a nun with a vow of poverty and obedience suddenly become the boss of a shady business empire? Well, let me tell you, this is no ordinary nun. Liesel may have traded her sensible shoes for sensible robes, but she's got a spine of steel and a heart of fire. Trust me, she's going to bring those bad boys to their knees. So sit back, grab some holy water, and get ready for a wild ride, because this nun is about to bring the house down. We find Liesel standing in the hallowed halls of her father's home, a place that reeks of wealth and whispers of conspiracy. She is surrounded by a group of powerful individuals who are eager to welcome her to the family business. Or maybe they're just being extra nice because she's the boss's daughter. Who knows? Anyway, these guys are the Board, a collection of cunning business tycoons and ruthless operators who have been running Cordia Holdings in her father's absence. They are a motley crew, each with their own agendas and secrets, but they all share one common goal: profit, profit, and more profit. Liesel listens patiently as they shower her with fake smiles and empty promises, but she's not buying it. These people are as transparent as stained glass and about as trustworthy as a fox in a henhouse, but she's not here to make friends. She's here to take charge. As the meeting drags on, Liesel starts to piece together the financial puzzle of her father's empire. She learns that Cordia Holdings has been involved in everything from weapons trading to satellite technology, and it's not always the most savory businesses. But she's not here to judge. She's here to fix what needs fixing. But not everyone is happy about her involvement. One of the board members, a slick businessman named Sterling Pierce, makes it clear that he doesn't think she's up to the task. He's condescending and dismissive, but Liesel doesn't let it get to her. She's got bigger fish to fry. As the meeting continues, Liesel notices a lot of strange behavior. There are coded messages, furtive glances, and a lot of nervous energy. And it's clear that not everyone is thrilled about her presence. But Liesel isn't intimidated. She's got a sharp eye and a sharper mind, and she's not afraid to use them. She starts asking questions, lots of questions, and the answers she gets only deepen the mystery. It seems like her father's empire is built on a foundation of lies and deceit, and she's just started to scratch the surface. Meanwhile, outside the conference room, a figure watches Liesel intently. It's Bjorn Lund, her father's personal archivist and keeper of secrets. He's an eccentric character with a penchant for cryptic clues and ancient history, and he's not wasting any time getting involved. As the meeting ends, he approaches Liesel and offers to help her navigate the treacherous waters of her inheritance. She takes him up on the offer, and together they delve into the labyrinth of her father's empire. In the archives, amidst dusty boxes and cryptic files, Liesel discovers a secret that shakes her to her core. Her father wasn't just a businessman. He was a player in a high-stakes game of international espionage and deceit. And he's made powerful enemies along the way. With each passing day, the danger grows. Threats are made, alliances are tested, and Liesel finds herself in a web of intrigue that's as tangled as it is deadly. But she's not backing down. With the help of Bjorn and a few unlikely allies, she's determined to uncover the truth, even if it means putting herself in the line of fire. After the shock of discovering her father's double life, Liesel decides to pay a visit to the priest who baptized her, a wise and compassionate man named Father Matthias. As she pours her heart out to him, she realizes that she's not alone in her struggle. Father Matthias has seen his fair share of darkness and deceit, and he's not afraid to speak the hard truths. He encourages her to stay true to herself and her values, even in the face of overwhelming odds. But he also warns her of the dangers that lie ahead. Her father's enemies are powerful and relentless, and they won't hesitate to use any means necessary to achieve their goals. Back at the estate, Liesel gathers her advisors, Bjorn, Father Matthias, and a handful of trusted employees. Together, they form a ragtag team of truth seekers, each with their own unique skills and perspectives. They start digging through her father's financial records, searching for clues to unravel the mystery of his death. But as they dig deeper, they uncover a trail of hidden assets, secret bank accounts, and coded messages that point to a vast conspiracy that reaches far beyond her father's empire. Meanwhile, the vultures circling Corda Holdings grow impatient. The rival executives and shadowy figures who had been waiting in the wings are now making their moves. One of them, a ruthless businesswoman named Isabella Rossi, takes a direct approach. She sends her henchmen to threaten Liesel, warning her to step aside and let her take over the company. But Liesel stands firm. She's not afraid to fight for what's hers, and she's not going to let these power-hungry predators push her around. But the real danger comes from an unexpected source. A series of seemingly random accidents start plaguing the company, from a faulty wiretap that exposes sensitive information to a sabotaged server that threatens to wipe out the entire database. Liesel and her team scramble to contain the damage, but it's clear that someone is working from the inside to destroy her father's legacy. With tensions rising and danger lurking around every corner, Liesel must rely on her instincts and the support of her unlikely allies. Together, they must navigate the treacherous world of corporate espionage and uncover the truth behind her father's death before it's too late. But as the pieces of the puzzle come together, Liesel uncovers a conspiracy that shakes her to her core. Her father's death was no accident. He had stumbled onto something big, something that powerful forces wanted kept secret. And now, those same forces are coming for her. Determined to honor her father's memory and protect her own future, Liesel fights back. With courage and determination, she faces off against her enemies, exposing their secrets and bringing them to justice. But in doing so, she becomes the most hunted woman in the world. As the body count rises and the stakes grow higher, Liesel must summon all her strength and cunning to survive. But in the end, she emerges victorious, having avenged her father and secured her place as the most powerful woman in the world. And they all lived happily ever after. The end. As dawn fractured the sky, Liesel found herself on a plane to Kiev, hurtling towards another battleground. Beside her, Bjorn studied a tablet, his jaw set tight, his fingers drumming a restless tattoo on the cold steel. Their surroundings were pure luxury, a haven amidst the storm. A private jet is second nature to Liesel. This trip, however, was no routine transfer. From the hand-picked crew to the specially sealed food to the encrypted comms suite, every detail screamed of a hidden purpose. They weren't just flying to Ukraine. They were flying into the eye of a gathering storm. Meanwhile, across continents and codes, an old foe stirs. In the bustling heart of Kinshasa, Democratic Republic of the Congo, Pavel Klimenko surveyed his domain. Skyscrapers pierced the clouds, shadowed by a sprawling refugee camp barely a mile away. He was here for business, meeting with rebel leaders, smoothing over logistical issues, and ensuring the steady flow of resources from eastern mines to Cordis. European facilities. The company was his now, but it wasn't enough. He wanted more. Specifically, he wanted control. The problem was Corda's new leader, Liesel, posed a threat to his plans. and threats, Pavel knew, had to be neutralized. Upon arrival, Liesel and Bjorn were met by two men waiting in the sterile white hall of a Kiev airport VIP lounge. One, a man with a pasty face and slicked back hair, introduced himself as Dennis, while the other, tall and composed with icy blue eyes, was named Yuri. Their mission was simple: get Liesel to a safe house, navigate the minefield of politics, and keep her alive until reinforcements arrived. It was actually a setup. After ensuring Liesel's safety, Yuri contacted the Korda board via encrypted channels, informing them of her location and requesting immediate extraction. Meanwhile, Dennis handed over a tablet to Liesel, instructing her to watch it at any cost. On the screen, her father appeared, weak but lucid. He conveyed his last wishes to let Liesel assume the mantle, to protect her siblings, and most importantly, to prioritize her own life. But there was a catch. To inherit the mantle, Liesel had to visit a secret mountain complex near the Swiss border. She didn't know exactly where, but she did have a map on the tablet. The message ended with a warning about her mother's past, something her father regretted keeping secret. Just before passing out, the screen faded to static. Liesel closed her eyes, tears escaping as memories flooded in. All the times her father called her little sister, all the board meetings she skipped for choir practice, and the chilling realization that she truly knew nothing about the man everyone feared. But as she digested her father's message, the ground rumbled beneath them. Outside, an explosion rocked the building. As sirens wailed in the distance, she realized she was in a trap. While Yuri and Dennis argued over strategy, Liesel took matters into her own hands. Slipping out of the terminal, she drove away from the airport in a pre-arranged car, racing towards a nondescript warehouse district. Once there, she parked in an abandoned lot, removed the tablet's SIM card, and strolled casually toward the nearest police station. There, she anonymously reported a suspicious package at the airport, buying time for bomb disposal experts, while simultaneously contacting her remaining loyalists in the company for extraction. Her goal, make it to the rendezvous point at the warehouse undetected. Back at the airport, explosions shattered the facade. Billowing smoke poured out of the terminal. In the ensuing chaos, Yuri slipped out unnoticed and met up with Pavel's team. He received his orders: bring Liesel to the safe house by any means necessary. But little did he know, Liesel had anticipated such a move. Reaching the warehouse, she ducked under a truck, entering the labyrinth of tunnels beneath. Here, Korda had a contingency plan for extreme emergencies. A series of underground bunkers connected by tunnels and equipped with enough supplies to sustain hundreds for weeks. The system was designed for nuclear strikes, but Liesel knew she could use it to her advantage. Meanwhile, Pavel made a personal visit to the safe house to check on Liesel. If she wasn't there, he needed a backup plan. When he got inside, however, he found only her discarded phone and the live feed from the warehouse where explosives experts were defusing the bomb. They'd made it to the bunker. Pavel cursed under his breath. He'd need to go directly to the board. Deep in the bunker network, Liesel emerged from the tunnels with Nadia, Bjorn, and two bodyguards following closely behind. Safety was relative, but for now, it was their best bet. They had secured communication with the board, who were willing to offer asylum in return for sensitive data. The deal was simple. Liesel had 24 hours to gather the most important financial records and client contracts and transport them to a drop site. The board would then negotiate immunity from prosecution in exchange for hefty fines and sanctions. At the same time, Bjorn stayed by Liesel's side, tending to her wounds and offering comfort. As they worked, conversations drifted between them, tentative at first, then raw, honest, and vulnerable. They discussed their faith, their hopes, and finally, their deepest fears about the future of the company. Together, they drafted a letter to the Vatican detailing Corda's sins, hoping to enlist the Church's help in sealing a peaceful fate for their employees. They also established a strict protocol for Liesel's protection. In the event of a breach, she would immediately flee to a remote cabin in Lapland, a place her father built for her after her mother's death, complete with a state-of-the-art security system. But they both knew such precautions were temporary. Liesel's time was running out. With the preparations almost complete, Liesel prepared for her last extraction. She would deliver the data to the board herself, trusting no one else with such a vital task. Nadia insisted on accompanying her, but Liesel politely declined, wanting to face this alone. Her steps were deliberate, her posture straight, betraying none of the turmoil raging within. She knew she was stepping into a lion's den, but she was ready. As she left the bunker, she slipped a crucifix necklace over her head, a gift from her mother that symbolized the hope of salvation for both her and the company. Upon reaching the rendezvous point, Liesel found only a single figure waiting for her. It was Bjorn. He defied the protocol, risking exposure to warn her. Her heart ached at the sight of him, but duty called. She handed over the data and with a choked sob, pressed a kiss to his. In the year 2047, war is no longer waged between nation-states. War now belongs to private enterprise. Every battlefield is licensed and financed by investors seeking high returns on their money. With everything commodified, the stakes have never been higher. The result? Absolute warfare. This is the setting of the next installment in our series of video shorts. This time written by David Barr. We've got a lot of ground to cover, so let's get started. The night was coming alive with static as Liesel worked through the encrypted feeds from her father's estate. It was the evening of day 3, 68 hours since her brother Max had launched his attack. So far, the carefully constructed defenses of the Corda estate had held. Private jets were being diverted from their intercept course. Armed drones were luring decoy ships away from the coastline. Satellite dishes disguised as garden ornaments were sending garbled signals back to the mercenaries monitoring them. Good, good, good. But the enemy was nothing if not persistent. As long as there was smoke rising from the chimneys of the Corda estate, they would keep coming, and there was a limit to how many diversions and decoys she could deploy. The final showdown was looming. But what did her father know? Because this was about more than just securing the estate. This was about uncovering the conspiracy that had taken her father's life. If she could expose what was truly happening here, if she could bring it all out into the open, maybe then she could prevent the war that was coming. She stared at the screen in front of her, a chessboard charting the movements of their attackers. Each piece was labeled with the name of a mercenary unit or the tag of an infiltrator. Most were still on the periphery, waiting in the wings, but some had breached the first line of defense. She saw the name of one soldier in particular jump out at her, Major Von Trapp, codename Viper. He was her father's best friend, the one person who knew the layout of the estate better than her father did, the one person who should not be listed under enemy infiltrators. She left the tactical display and headed to the vault where her father kept his personal files. Even after his death, his obsessions continued to manifest themselves. In the dark hum of servers, the murmur of encrypted conversations, the low thrum of a private network of spies. She found his research into Project Icarus, a secret weapons project that would destabilize the very foundations of her father's empire. As she dove deeper into his data, patterns started to emerge. Liesel was seeing the hand of a single individual in all of this. The same person who had sabotaged her father and seized control of the family fortune. The same person who was currently leading the invasion. She raced back to the command center. The pieces were finally starting to fit together, revealing a portrait of betrayal. The culprit was none other than her own mother. Liesel confronted her mother about it, but she remained stoic, confirming her daughter's worst fears. "This is who I am," she said, "my destiny. You will understand soon enough." With those words, she locked herself in her room. Now it was up to Liesel to stop her. Her mother had retreated to the highest point of the estate, the old observatory tower, complete with a heavily reinforced vault that even ZSA wouldn't have been able to breach alone. With 24/7 views of the estate, it was the perfect place to launch a counterattack. But Liesel's options were limited. The clock was ticking. She had to find a way inside without alerting her mother or the security detail guarding her. The answer, however, was hiding in plain sight. Hidden in the observatory dome was a forgotten relic of the Cold War era, a periscope used by Liesel's father to spy on neighboring properties. Its lenses were coated with a thin layer of ice, but underneath lay the potential for subterfuge. If she could rig the periscope to transmit her own camera feed, she could spy on the interior of the tower undetected. All that remained was to figure out a way inside. The problem was, the tower was heavily guarded, patrolled by elite Black Ops mercenaries who would kill without hesitation. The second problem was that Liesel had no combat experience and was decidedly non-violent. Then she noticed the blueprints in her hands. There was a maintenance shaft running up the side of the tower, an access hatch near the top floor, just above the line of sight of the guards. With a little luck, she could get close enough to rig the periscope. When her brother arrived at the tower, Liesel was waiting for him. The two siblings faced off, their relationship defined by a lifetime of competition and resentment. She was furious at his treachery. He was furious at her naivety. She would destroy him. He would prove himself. And as the fight kicked off, we cut to a white screen. Max attacked with vicious efficiency, kicking her to the ground, smashing her console and knocking her prone. But Liesel was prepared. She scrambled out of the way, narrowly avoiding the edge of the roof. Her brother was coming at her again, and this time he smashed straight through the window behind her, plunging them both into darkness. As they fought, the sniper rifle slipped from Max's grasp and clattered across the glass ceiling. He lunged for it, but Liesel was quicker. She pressed the activation button, flipping the gun around, aiming it at her brother. "Stop," she whispered. But when she pressed the trigger, nothing happened. Oh God. It was empty. She could hear the frustration in Max's voice as he realized the gun was empty. "Why?" he shouted. "Why would you do that?" "Because you're my brother," she replied. "And as much as I hate you, I'm not going to kill you." As the night wore on, the estate systems were brought back online. The troops arrived and the mercenaries were driven off. The Corder estate had won the battle, but the war for the soul of the company was just beginning. In the following days, Liesel and Bjorn brought in legal counsel and financial auditors. They combed through years of documents. The deeper they dug, the more they uncovered. It was a tangled web of fraud, espionage and murder, all of which pointed to the matriarch. Then came the bombshell. They discovered that the head of security during the takeover, the man who had personally led the assault on the estate, was not an employee of the Corders at all. His name was Alexander Drakov, and he was a high-ranking operative of a shadow organization known only as the Serpent Zai. With the evidence secured, Liesel was ready to make her move. She sent out a pre-recorded statement detailing everything she and her team had uncovered. She laid bare the corruption of her mother and the criminality of her brother. She accused the Serpent's Eye of orchestrating the attack, hoping that the backlash would force their hand. The gamble paid off. The Serpent's Eye tried to regroup, but the leaks had come at a critical moment. They were forced to abandon their plans and go dark. In the chaos, Liesel made her move. With the help of the media, she exposed the scandal to the world. In the end, there was nowhere left for her mother to hide. The Corder family had weathered the storm, but its future was uncertain. The damage done to the company would take years, perhaps decades to repair. But in the meantime, Liesel planned to rebuild. The fortress had already begun to stir with activity. The workers clearing debris, the architects planning, the engineers designing. She stood on the balcony with Byrne, surveying the work below. Gone were the trappings of wealth, the lavish parties, the obscene luxuries. But in their place was something real, something tangible. What had once been a symbol of excess was now a beacon of hope. Thank you so much for watching. Our series wouldn't be possible without the support of our patrons. And if you want to see your name at the end of the next episode, then you too can support us. Check the description for details. Until the next time, remember, stay curious.